Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Amityville Union Free School District Board of Education combined meeting. Today's date is April 15th, 2026. And we're throwing the meeting to order now at 5:46 p.m. In attendance at the meeting tonight is myself, Board President Lisa Johnson. My first Vice President, Juan Leon, is anticipated arriving roughly about 6:15. My second Vice President, Chris Nearing, is here. Trustees Carol Seacock, as well as Megan Investment, is in attendance at this time. It's anticipated.
Leslie.
I'm sorry, Leslie Kretz is here. Sorry, Leslie Kretz is here, not Carol Seacock. It's anticipated that Carol Seacock will be arriving by 6 o'clock. Also in attendance at this time is our superintendent, Dr. Peter Talbot, our assistant superintendent for curriculum instruction, Mary Stevens, our director of human resources, Dr. Landau, and our interim assistant superintendent of finance and operation, Joe Dugan. At this point in time, it's also anticipated that our legal counsel, John Cheatham, will be arriving as well, roughly around 6:15. At this point in time, can I have a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of interviewing candidates for the Director of Fine Arts and Performing Director of Fine and Performing Arts. Also, advice from counsel regarding a particular person's employment history, and then also advice from counsel on general matters.
Motion.
Second, Chris Nairn is first, Leslie Kretz is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. It's anticipated that we will open at 7:30 p.m. Thank you for joining us.
From the meeting now at 7:53. Please note the emergency exits closer to where you are sitting. There's no smoking on school grounds, and please silence your cell phone. At this point in time, please join the Board of Education in the Pledge of Allegiance. At this point in time, I'm turning the meeting over to Dr. Talbot.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening to our school board members, colleagues, and community. At this time, we are going to invite Dr. Fran Fernandez, our Director of Fine and Performing Arts, who is going to introduce our duet who is going to perform for us on this evening. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. For tonight's music showcase, we have a very special performance. Tonight, 11th grade students Samir Shah and Sarai Mullings will perform Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring by Johann Sebastian Bach. The duo has been performing together since 8th grade. They have chosen to revisit this piece to further refine and showcase their musicianship. Samir and Sarai were selected as alternate performers for the Long Island Chamber Festival, where they were recognized among the top chamber ensembles of Long Island. Sarai has achieved an A+ rating at the New York State School Music Association NISMA Level 5 evaluation, while Samir is auditioning for his second year at the All-State level. In addition, Samir is a member of the Metropolitan Youth Orchestra of New York and is scheduled to make his Carnegie Hall debut with this ensemble on Saturday, May 16th. Please help me welcome Sarai Mullings and Samir Shah.
We're so proud of our student scholars, high school chamber duet. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you so
Think
much.
important to note that is one of our ex officio or student board members.
At this time, we're going to ask our Director of Health, Physical Education, and Athletics to come forward. At this time, we're going to take a few minutes tonight to update the board on where we are in developing a new district logo through our community-based logo plan. This has been a very intentional process. The goal has been to ensure we are developing something that truly reflects who we are as a district and community. I'll start with where we began with community input and visioning. So between March 11th and March 25th, we invited a wide range of stakeholders to participate in an online survey that included staff, students at the middle and high school level, alumni, parents, and community members. We asked them to weigh in on what defines our district, what values matter most, what symbols or imagery represent Amityville, and how we balance modernization with honoring our legacy. The survey was widely shared on our website and social media for over 2 weeks. This phase was about gathering direction and perspective. Once we had that input, we moved into the design phase, and we're so thankful for the leadership of our director, who has been a pivotal part of this process in bringing us where we are today. And so Mr. Evan Farkas is going to talk with us about the logo concept development.
Thank you, Dr. Talbert. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. We began this process by opening a logo contest through a platform called Logo Arena, which allows designers from around the country and around the world to submit ideas for our next logo. This is the same process we used in 2018 when we had approved our previous logo. The contest opened on March 29th and it closed this past week. Overall, we received more than 120 design variations, which came from 48 different logo concepts. When creating the directions for the designers, I included, I included the feedback we received from the Tide mascot survey. That input helped shape the process from the beginning. Based on the guidelines we provided, including how the logos would look on uniforms, clothing, the overall clarity of the logo, and alignment with our district identity, I was able to narrow the entries down to 12 final designs. At this point, I'd like to share those 12 designs with you. I'll share them one at a time. Sorry. there. Those are the 12 final designs. There were a lot to go through, just so you know about the process. As they're submitting designs, looking at them, I'm commenting with the designers. I'm asking to see it in this manner and see it with this background, see it with this color, and they're sending it in real time. So those are the 12 designs. Starting tomorrow through April 30th, we'll be sharing those 12 designs to gather feedback. We want to focus on clarity, the visual appeal, how well each design reflects our district, and how it can work across our different schools and our departments and programs. At the conclusion of that feedback from our community, from May 1st to May 10th, administration will review that feedback, identify any common themes, and then work with the designers to refine some of our strongest options so that we can make a final recommendation to the Board of Education for approval. We're really excited to get closer. We'd love to have a finalized logo that represents the entire community, and I thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farkas. So the goal is at the May 13th board meeting to bring the recommendation to the board for final district logo approval. Madam President? At this time, we will present the superintendent's report. I am pleased to share several highlights that reflect continued growth, engagement, and opportunity across our school district. We are happy to announce that at the high school level, we had 20 students from the high school who recently attended the Long Island Latino Teachers Association Women's Conference at Stony Brook University. And these students were exposed to women leaders, and they are helping to chart the path for future career pathways, preparing our students for beyond graduation. So we were very happy to receive the good report about that trip. We also celebrate the success of the Amityville Memorial High School drama production. It was a beautiful showcase of creativity and dedication, and we're very proud of our student actors and actresses and the music. It was just a beautiful performance. The high school will also host its Spring Student College Fair on April 23rd. At Northwest, students had the opportunity to engage with Suffolk County Police Department. Police came in as career days, as well as bringing their K-9. And so this visit brought a lot of excitement to our student scholars at Northeast, and they learned a lot about real-world learning of community safety. Also at Northeast, our pre-K and kindergarten students participate in the Adventure Bound Game Show. This was made possible by our Amityville PTA. I'd like for us to stop a moment and just celebrate our PTA and all of the engagement and wonderful opportunities they bring to our schools and our students. At Edmund W. Miles School, which was in such a conflict with our board meetings and district happenings, but we understand it was a wonderful, wonderful stream night. It was a tremendous success. It showcased student creativity and critical thinking, and we received a really good report from that event. Looking ahead next week, students in grades 3 through 8 will participate in the New York State ELA assessments. We do want to just acknowledge Women's History Month and Literacy Month celebrations, where our very own president, Lisa Johnson, thank you, Ms. Stevens, thank you, as well as others and elected officials were in and out of our schools reading to our students, highlighting the importance of literacy and representation for our youngest scholars. So we're grateful and thankful for the partnerships. In addition, our spring concert season will take place next month. We're looking forward to showcasing our students' musical talents across the district. So thank you once again to all of our faculty, staff, families, and students for providing meaningful opportunities that support academic achievement, student engagement, and forge strong community connections. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Talbot. It's still on you.
At this time, our next presentation will be a presentation of the 2026-2027 budget. This will be led by our interim assistant superintendent for finance and operations. The board has the option to approve the budget tonight or approve the budget on April 21st, which will be our meeting on Tuesday of next week. We will convene once again. So thank you, Mr. Dragon and the CBAC.
Thank you. I'd also like to say thanks to the leadership team here in Amityville, the cabinet members. It's difficult to enter a school district at the beginning of March and try by the middle of April to have a budget finalized, but it was possible because of the dedication of the staff here and the cooperation of the cabinet. So I want to thank them very much. I especially want to thank the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee, who, without any compensation, delved into this budget, asked me some really good questions. And in fact, they are going to follow my presentation with their recommendations as well. So I first want to bring us back to where we are right now in 25-26 on the 25-26 budget, what the results will be. Our estimate as of March 31st, 2026 is that we will underexpend the 25-26 budget by $2,353,594. This is less than the estimate that I gave to you on February 28th. It is still within the range that Mr. Snyder had provided to you back in January, but it is less than the 3.2 million that I had estimated as of February 28th. I also have done an estimate of what our revenue will be. As of March 31st, 2026, it appears that we are on track to receive $230,130 more in revenue than was budgeted for 25-26. This has to do with state aid, interest on investments, miscellaneous fees that we receive, tuition from other districts for the services we provide. We should therefore have a surplus of revenues over expenditures of $2,583,724, which can be used to reduce taxes in 2026-27. In business official speak, we call that applying fund balance to reduce the taxes for the following year. This would require us, however, to apply approximately $309,191 from our reserves to balance the budget for 26-27 that we had presented on April 1st, 2026, assuming that we levy an increase in taxes of 1.56%. So that's where we are right now. There are a few changes we've made in this 2026-27 budget, many of which you've seen before, but I want to highlight a few that we made tonight, that we're making tonight. We returned the athletic trainer to a contracted service, thus eliminating the benefit costs for a new employee. We reduced our requested allocation for a strategic planner from $66,000 to $25,000 in order to get at least started on the process. By the way, all of these changes that we've made were as a result of our reflecting on the feedback we got from the board on April 1st. We added $44,000 to the tuition line for charter schools in anticipation of a possible increase in charter school enrollment. Right now, we have budgeted as if there will be no increase. We had, budgeted as if there would be no increase. This gives us some room for 2 additional children who may be attending charter schools next year. We replaced the salaries of 4 teachers and 2 buildings and grounds workers who have already announced to us their retirement from the district by the end of this year, with the estimated salaries of 6 replacements, thus saving, in business official speak, the breakage, the salary difference between a new employee coming in and a seasoned employee leaving. And finally, we reduced the health insurance increase from 9%, which is what I had originally estimated, down to 8.75%, which is still within the range that other business officials are predicting health insurance will increase for the second half of the 2026-27 school year. We unfortunately have to budget for health insurance on a fiscal year basis, but the rates change in the middle of the fiscal year. So here's some items that you've seen before. I'm not going to waste time reading them to you. You've seen them. You could read them yourselves. None of these have really changed on this page. On the next page, I did add one item. This is new. We have listened to the board's request for doing as much in-house as we can. And we are proposing that we purchase an aerator seeder in place of contracting for that service. The $20,000 that we usually spend on an annual basis to a contractor will instead be used this year to buy the equipment that we already have the ability to pull with our tractors to do the aeration and seeding of our athletic fields. It will be at no cost in 26-27, and it'll be at a $20,000 savings in 27-28. Everything else on this page is the same. And everything else on this page, the last page, is the same. So I want to remind you where we are on local revenue. We expect next year to have in local revenue $4,824,175. The biggest portion of that comes from pilot payments. The pilot payments consist of 2 different sets of pilots. One is pilots given to developers to do projects like Avalon and Gray Barn. The other set of pilots comes from LIPA, the Long Island Power Authority, which owns property in our school district. Since LIPA is a public authority, they can't pay taxes, but they have agreed to make payments in lieu of taxes. Together, those 2 pilots add up to $2.1 million. You could see the rest of the revenue that we're anticipating. The last line might be of interest to you because you might say, what does the library bond have to do with the school district budget? The fact is that the school district must, by law, carry the debt for the library in our budget, but we have an agreement with the library that they will reimburse the school district for the cost of the debt service we're carrying on their behalf. So that's what the $712,175 is. State aid. Right now, if you looked at the governor's estimate of state aid, you would see that it's about $310,000 less than the number I've put up on this screen. Why am I confident that we're going to get that additional $310,000? It's because both houses of the legislature, both the Assembly and the Senate, have included in what we call their one-house bills a proposal to increase foundation aid for all school districts by a minimum of 2%. Unfortunately, Amityville has now reached the point where we are what's called save harmless. We are no longer on the formula. 80% of the districts in Suffolk County and 60% of the districts in Nassau County will be getting the due minimum, 1% or 2%. We are confident as business officials that the legislators in Nassau and Suffolk County will not allow that to be 1% because so many of their constituents would be affected by that. So we're predicting that it will be the 2%, and that's why we're estimating state aid to be $47,587,077. Oops. So here's what I'm referring to as option one. Taking the total local revenue, state aid, and a proposal to use $2,892,915 from fund balance and reserves. And if you remember, that consists of the balance that's left over from this year plus 300 and something thousand from our reserves. If we levy a tax of 1.56%, which is the levy limit, we will be able to fund the complete budget, which represents an increase of 2.14%. The budget is an increase of 2.14%. The property tax increase would be 1.56%. And for those of you who like to do mental arithmetic, if you wanted to reduce taxes by 1/100%, we would need to either cut $6,696 from the expenditure side or increase our reliance on fund balance and reserves by the same $6,696. We, as a cabinet, are not recommending either of those, but we did want to show you what that would do in the long run to our school district. So I know this is difficult to read on the screen, but you do have it in your packet. You'll see that under option one, our fund balance 4 years from now will actually increase by $231,000. We will still be at that point one of the lowest percentages of funds in our fund balance compared to other school districts on Long Island. Remember last time I told you the average is 24%. There are some that are below us, but there are some that have as much as 50 or 60% in their fund balance compared to the following year's budget. So this moves us in the right direction. It's not what I would love, but it certainly is something that we could live with. Here's option two. The board asked us to provide a tax levy increase of 1.45% or 1.5% instead of 1.56%. So what we did was we took the lower end of 1.45%. We did not cut any expenditures from the budget. Instead, we increased our use of fund balance and reserves to $2,968,987. We still have an increase of 2.14%. Property taxes would only increase 1.45%. And here's what that looks like long range. Over the space of the next 4 years, our fund balance would decrease by $103,500, going in the wrong direction, from your business official going in the wrong direction. However, it is still sustainable. It's not like we're stripping our reserves and not having anything left for the future. We still would have 15 million, whatever that number is, forgive me, my eyes are too old, $15,582,000. The last request that was made of us by the board, which I think is a very legitimate one, is to somehow equate this to the impact on the average home in our community. Now, I don't know what an average home is. It could be the median, it could be the mean, whether it's in North Amityville or South Amityville, et cetera, et cetera. So what I did to do this analysis was I selected homes from luminaries in our community. The people on the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee know what I'm referring to. Board members' houses and Citizens Budget Advisory Committee members' houses are up on this list. I stripped out the address, the number, but you may recognize your home. On option 1, the 1.56% increase, the projected bill would range from an increase of $181.90 per year down to $53.49 per year. In other words, anywhere from $5 a month to $15 per month. That would be the increase on the, I'm not saying average home, I'm just saying the homes of some luminaries in our school district. What's the difference between option 1 and option 2? The 1.56 versus the 1.45? Well, that difference would be anywhere from $12 a year down to as little as $3.77 per year. In other words, about $1 a month down to about 30 cents a month. That's what the difference between 1.55 and 1.56 and 1.45 would be. And that's the end of my presentation. So at this point, I invite, if I may, Dr. Talbert, the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee to come forward and make their presentation.
Hello, good evening. My name is Dina Rosenberg, and I am the reluctant chair of the Citizens Advisory Budget Committee, and this is our recommendation. Dear members of the Board of Education, on behalf of the Citizen Advisory Budget Committee, we respectfully submit our recommendations regarding the proposed 2026-2027 school district budget. Over the past 2 years, our committee has worked closely with 3 different district administrators and an external consultant, reviewing financial documents, participating in discussions, and dedicating extensive time to understanding the fiscal position of the district. This period has been marked by significant instability, including a previously identified deficit cycle, followed by a reported $10 million surplus in the 2024-2025 budget year. These substantial fluctuations have understandably created concern and fatigue within the community. Given our sustained involvement, we believe the committee has developed a comprehensive and informed perspective on the district's financial landscape. Based upon our review, the Citizens Advisory Budget Committee recommends that the Board of Education adopt the proposed $123,363,246.04 2026-2027 budget and supports the priorities outlined by the superintendent and administration. We view this budget cycle as year one of a proposed 5-year improvement plan, a concept our committee discussed at the conclusion of the 2025-2026 budget cycle. The current proposed budget takes meaningful steps towards strengthening fiscal responsibility, including saving for capital improvements, buildings, and infrastructure, enhancing internal financial controls through the addition of key administrative and purchasing positions aligned with prior audit recommendations, expanding academic support, including instructional coaches and department chairs, initiating facilities improvements and establishing reserve accounts for future repair and replacement needs, and responding directly to student feedback, demonstrating that student voices are being heard and valued. We commend the administration for presenting a budget that begins to balance operational integrity with student-centered outcomes. We firmly believe that student achievement and support must remain the driving force behind every dollar spent. While we support the overall budget, we offer the following recommendations. Number one, summer bridge program timing and implementation. The committee believes it's too late in the current planning cycle to effectively implement a summer 2026 bridge program for rising grades. Launching this program within a limited time frame presents several challenges. Insufficient time for robust community communication and outreach. Families may have likely already made summer plans. There's a risk of low participation and negative community perception. We strongly support the program's intent and long-term value. However, we recommend postponing implementation to summer of 2027, but beginning promotion at this current year's student registration, including program dates in the official 2026-2027 district calendar, and then allocating a portion of the budgeted funds that are already in the 26-27 budget toward marketing outreach and direct mailing efforts. Additionally, we recommend exploring the engagement of a professional grant writer to secure external funding for this and similar initiatives. Any remaining funds allocated to the program should be redirected to capital reserves, addressing urgent building and infrastructure needs. Number two, the proposed increase of the ERS, the Employee Retirement System reserve, to $5,915,518 is, in our view, overly aggressive. Historical data shows that over the past 5 years, the reserve has reached a high of $3,223,626. We recommend adjusting the budgeted reserve contribution to approximately $4 million, restoring it to a stable pre-deficit level, and utilizing the remaining funds to offset the tax levy. While we recognize this would be a one-time application of reserves, we believe it represents an important opportunity to demonstrate responsiveness to current taxpayer concerns, acknowledge the past financial inconsistencies, and provide measurable relief during a time of broader economic pressure. Community feedback has made it clear that announcing a $10 million surplus followed by an additional tax increase has created concern. A modest reduction in the levy would go a long way to rebuilding that trust. We also note that several of Long Island's districts have adopted lower or neutral levy increases this year, including Freeport at 0%, Lawrence at 0%, Central Islip at negative 0.04%, Mount Sinai at 0.72%, and Wyandanch at 1%. As we view this budget as the first step in a 5-year improvement plan, we strongly recommend that the Board of Education establish clear, measurable goals for both academic and financial performance and share those goals with the community and publish them on the district website. Regularly evaluate the effectiveness of new roles and initiatives, such as the strategic planner, instructional coaches, and the department chairs, sharing those evaluations with the community, and maintain consistent and transparent communication with all the stakeholders. In addition, the committee recommends that the Board of Education receive and review monthly budget to actual reports. These reports should be reviewed prior to any votes on matters that have financial implications. We believe this practice is a critical component of the board's fiduciary responsibility. Regular review of financial performance by the Board of Education will support more informed and responsible decision-making, ensure a clear understanding of budgetary impact of board actions, help prevent unintended financial consequences, and rebuild trust within the community, which has expressed concern that decisions have at times been made without full visibility into their financial implications. Accountability and transparency are essential to restoring confidence and ensuring that the district remains on a stable and sustainable path forward. The Citizens Budget Advisory Committee appreciates the opportunity to serve the Amityville community and continue the process. We believe the proposed budget represents a constructive step forward, provided it is implemented thoughtfully and with the recommended adjustments. We request that this letter of recommendation be published to the Citizen Budget Advisory Committee page on the Amityville School District website. And we remain committed to supporting the district in achieving financial stability, academic excellence, and renewed community trust.
Thank you so much for providing the report, and thank you so much to the Citizens Advisory Board and all the hard work that each member has put in on the board. We appreciate the report, and we will review and discuss it now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so at this point in time, do any board members have any questions about what has been presented?
Madam President, I do, and when Pete comes back, who's our IT person, I would like to share, if there's no objection, on the screen, a marked up version of the budget that I also looked at over the weekend.
Is that the one that we have, or?
Sure.
That means that the one that was just presented to us tonight?
It's the full budget.
Can you just go ahead and start talking until he comes back, so then we don't?
Sure. So one of the things that I know I had asked for, and I believe Trustee Messman also has asked for, at least on 3 occasions, was to see what a 0% tax levy increase budget would look like. That never happened. The board was never afforded that opportunity. And I think the idea was to kind of what the CBOC committee was saying was that we went from a deficit, another deficit, to a record surplus of over $10 million. I'll speak for myself. I would like to see a little stability before adding things back onto the agenda. Yes, Pete, if you don't mind. So that's kind of the approach I took, and I'm sure that Mr. Dragone will talk to me a little bit about some of the things as well. So this is about a discussion. So when we talk about a line by line budget, I read every single line in this budget. I ask questions, I do research, and these are my questions.
Did you not let the rest of the board know what was going on?
I just did it right now. It's not planned.
Okay.
Okay. So it's just something that I quickly typed up. I might need you to stay right there, Pete. Yes. Okay, so if you're able to make that larger, yes. Is there a way to focus in? And I know not everyone likes talking about budgets, but I do.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's a little bit difficult to read here, but one of the things that I highlighted, I don't particularly disagree with, but with regards to Medicaid, we are anticipating 18.8% less from Medicaid. So we did have a conversation on the side, and that appears to be anticipation that the federal government is going to really tighten up regulations with regards to Medicaid reimbursements.
I'm sorry, what is it that we're looking at right now? I wasn't aware that there was any other presentation going on.
Sure. Okay, so here we go. So we have Medicaid. And if we scroll to the next page here, one of the items that I actually am
So
thinking.
what about Medicaid? I didn't understand what we were looking at.
Okay, Chris, I'll explain again. So we receive Medicaid reimbursements. Okay, it's anticipated that we are going to be receiving less.
Yes, that I understand that, but I didn't know what it was that we were looking at on that first page that you had up.
Not clear, no numbers, I can't see.
I don't mean that I couldn't actually see it. I mean, I didn't even know what it was that was being shown.
Okay. Would you mind just switching to the other
Mr.
page?
Leon, I really think that the appropriate way to handle this is to ask Mr. Dragone questions directly instead of your personal presentation.
Sure. Well, Mr. Dragone, on page 2 of 59, we have the purchase of voting machines listed on the budget for $46,000. Also, it says listed here, Suffolk County Board of Elections has decided not to let us use their machines starting in 2027. We are currently in a lease agreement. What are we doing as far as voting machines for the year after?
That's exactly why we want to purchase the machines, Mr. Leon. We want to have the machines so that we could use them in 2027, 2028, 2029. Otherwise, we won't have voting machines and we'll have to count ballots by hand.
So my point is this, I don't think the district should be spending $46,000 on voting machines. If there's an option to lease them, again, from Suffolk County, we are in the business of education.
Let's not waste time. There is none. There's no option to lease them anymore.
Every
They-
school district will have to purchase machines. going
That's
forward.
correct. In Suffolk County, that is correct.
Excellent.
Mr. Leon, you posed these questions and they were already answered. I don't understand.
I'm
why.
sorry, when were they answered?
Via email?
Online.
Yeah, online.
I'm sorry?
So
Okay, okay. So this is a budget presentation. This is how the board works out the budget. What is the objection?
No, what will be helpful to us is that we're trying to get clear on the questions that you're just trying to ask. So just keep moving forward and just
Sure.
be clear. Because I'm trying to follow through on the hard copy that I have here.
Sure. So one of the other spots in the budget comes in the 1060 section. When it comes to advertising in both the Massapequa Post and also the Amityville Record in English and Spanish. The rates for both papers appear to be the same, but for two of them, it's 4,300 for the year, and for the other two, it's 3,001. Is there a particular reason why that is?
It depends on the length of the notice that we need to publish. The legal notice for the election is significantly longer than some of the other legal notices that we publish. The other thing that's in that line is the unfortunate possibility that we must budget for, which would be that the budget fails on the first vote and we have to publish the legal notice a second time for a revote in June.
What I question is that we spent $14,800, which is equivalent to 21 full-page ads. That seems like a lot. Okay. Moving forward, the Board of Education budget lines have increased from last year to this year by 37.6%. Just to make note of that. That's a pretty big increase.
Because we're going back to a full-time district clerk.
Well, the 25-26 budget is 70,000 and what's proposed is 75,000 for next year. So that's only a $5,000 increase. The biggest increase comes from purchasing of voting machines, which are $46,000. That's the majority of that. So moving on to don't worry about it. Moving on to page 2, we have a new position, which is an accountant, which I think is very smart, and I welcome that at $95,000. Moving on to the next page, under account, we have public notice in Herald and Massapequa Post, which is $6,000, which is separate from the other one. Is there a reason for that?
Is that under the business department, the business line 1310?
That's correct.
That would be the notices that we need to put out for bids.
Okay, for RFPs?
RFPs don't require a legal notice, but bids do. They must be published in a local newspaper that you designate. You've designated these 2 newspapers. It must be published for a total of 5 days before we can open the bids. That's our estimate of what the cost will be. And by the way, Mr. Leon, you could look to the right and see what we've expended in those lines for the past 5 years.
For this line, there has been no expenditures.
Which line are you talking about?
Sure. You had it right. Under 1310,
1310, yes.
1310, 400.9, 1111.
Okay, so 1310, 400, 09, 1111. We're proposing a budget of $91,000. We had in the budget this year $86,000. We've expended so far $45,000. Last year, we expended $156,000. The year before, $83,000. The year before that, $70,000. And the year before that, $53,000. The cost of publishing is going up. And we're publishing more often because the board has a desire that we put out to bid many items that would otherwise not be put out to bid. But if that's the board's wish, then that's the cost.
Well, my issue wasn't the cost. I wasn't able to identify what it was for, which you answered. It was for bids.
Mhm.
So the reason why I brought that up is because this appears in 2 different places without differentiating one from the other. So that was my question. Going on to page 4. One of the things that I continue to be concerned about is adding, especially more salary positions. Amityville got into a lot of trouble when 40-something teachers and employees got excessed. We had this conversation because their salaries were on a grant. The grant ran out, and hardworking people were put out in the cold. So, new purchasing agent, $80,000. That doesn't include the package of healthcare and dental and all that, correct?
Correct, but it does subsume the part-time clerical person that we currently have on staff. That salary would go away.
So, Mr. Leon, as you continue on, it's good to hear some of the suggestions that you're providing, for us, for the board to, listen to at this point in time. I think also too, like the Citizens, Budget Advisory Committee also made some recommendations. So I think at some point in time, be also, important to kind of review those recommendations as well, to see if there's anything from there that we potentially
Absolutely.
want to consider. So if you could kindly, are you going page by page and
Well,
looking at
well,
this,
no,
or can you?
No, I'm not going.
Thank you.
So I'm going by things that are concerning to me or questionable. So moving on to page 5, under A 1620, I am happy to see another night custodian on there. Hopefully that will cut down on overtime and also replace, I'm aware of at least one custodian that is retiring. So that's.
Yeah, no, this is a new position. This is not a replacement for a retiring person. This is the night custodian for the second wing at Northeast that was not in place this year, which is what's causing the overtime and the substitutes that we're using on a regular basis. That's blowing out the overtime budget.
Right, and we've had this discussion and we've seen it in the budget lines that overtime, the control of overtime continues to be a major driver in the budget. And that's not just particular to one group, it's a couple of other groups. So that's something, if we can get those controls, will actually go a long
Well,
way.
there are controls in place for overtime for custodial staff and other individuals as well. It's that there's just been a need for these individuals, and that's why there's the overtime that's taken place, and that is the reason why there's a recommendation for an additional person at one of these buildings. So the controls exist. It's just that at this point in time, there's been a number of things. I think Mr. Dragon has already spoken about it in terms of from snow removal to a number of items that has resulted in overtime in that particular area.
Right. Well, when you look at the overtime, especially at the high school, from budgeted from 54,000, 35,000, now 60,000, that's and then 120,000 district-wide also. So these are numbers that you have to pay attention to.
And we are, and that's why we're paying attention to them. And I think the other part too.
I'm not getting
No, but I'm
aggressive.
just saying, but you're making a statement, and then in making the statement, I'm just stating that the overtime, there's controls that exist in place. That's number one. Number two, Mr. Dragon has already explained for us why that overtime has been occurring. So it's not like it's something that's new. He has explained why it has been taking place. So that's just my point, and that's why they're trying to cut back on the overtime.
So moving to item A 1620, which is in regards to furniture. One of the things I would suggest to my board members is that we have $25,000 proposed for student furniture at the middle school. That doubles what we had budgeted last year of 12,000. So we would like another 13,000. If we were able.
That's the cost of replacing the casework in room 201 at the middle school, which is an absolute disaster and should be replaced immediately.
Right.
It should have been replaced this year. There wasn't enough money in the budget to do it. That's why we're putting this in the budget for next year.
That's also noted on the line directly below it. It says casework replacement room 201.
And if I may suggest that, Mr. Leon, you asked that question and I answered it and I sent it to every member of the Board of Education, including you. And I did not give a different answer tonight than I did in my email. So I'm a little confused as to why we're doing this.
Thank you, Mr. Dragon.
Well, Mr. Dragon and to Carol too, this is talking about the budget and talking about the numbers and putting it out there in front of the public builds trust. Look, I'm not saying I'm right. I could be wrong. I like having this conversation in public.
And
had
public
some of
will
this
have the
conversation
opportunity.
before.
to
Some
ask
people do not
questions.
want to have it.
No, we've had some of these
Nothing but
conversations before.
grandstanding.
All these questions have been answered in public.
Well, then I'm going to ask you the next question. Okay, student initiative. Listen,
Just, we have gone over this. Your questions have been answered. If the public wants to ask questions, they will. It just seems like a form of grandstanding.
this is not grandstanding. We don't talk enough
Fine.
about these budgets.
The
We did.
questions were answered.
Can
Okay.
we just, can you,
Right.
can you?
Madam President and Lisa, I'm sorry, Carol, if you don't want to talk about this, then just,
That are not wanting to talk.
Just get to can you continue to move forward because we have other members that would like maybe ask questions.
Okay.
We have community members that want to come to the mic as well. So just
This-
identify what else.
Madam President, this is the
Identify-
board's meeting. This is
Excuse
the
me.
meeting of
excuse
the
me.
Board of
I'm just
Education.
asking you to get to some of the key points that you want to address to us because some
Okay.
of them we've heard already.
Okay, well, anyway. When I look at this budget, it looks like what we're trying to do here is expend surplus money that we have. Because a lot of these items are very high ticket items, capital reserve project items, fixing stairwells, HVAC, paving two parking lots in school districts. School districts do not have the kinds of millions of dollars from budget to do these kinds of things. So a lot of these things are capital reserve issues. What I outlined here is a possibility, since we did have a $10.6 million surplus, we did have that. Since we have that, we can still add many, many things. And this budget does add many, many things. And it still is very, very possible to get to a 0% tax levy increase. That's the point. If you want to know where I think we can save or where things can be altered, that's what I'm trying to do. But I feel rushed.
Mr. Dragone, I do have a question from the report that was provided by the Citizens Advisory Budget Committee. They had made a recommendation about the ERS and bringing that down to 4 million instead of doing what's budgeted. So can you just kind of talk
Sure.
about that and what,
Absolutely.
could we
And-
do that?
And
We're not-
forgive me because that was my shorthand for dealing with the fact that we had $4 million in excess in our unassigned fund balance that caused us to be cited by our auditor. We had 7.9% in a fund that should be only 4% by real property tax law. We are not allowed by law to hold more than 4% in the unassigned fund balance. So what I did for shorthand purposes was to take the full excess and leave it in the ERS line. It does not have to go there. And I'm thank Dina for pointing out that that may be aggressive. People may look at that as being aggressive. That's great. What we could do instead of $5,900,000 in the ERS reserve is that we could increase our EBLR reserve. We could increase our capital reserve. We could increase our unemployment insurance reserve. We could increase our TRS pension reserve by smaller amounts and bring the ERS pension reserve down to $4 million. What I would disagree with the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee, respectfully, is to return that additional $1 million to the taxpayers. It would be wonderful to be able to do that and not have an impact. But as I showed you, when I presented a 0% levy, the result will be that your fund balance will drop from the current 15.3 million down to $10 million. And that is dangerously low. And I do not recommend that you drain your reserves in that way, no matter how much it may feel good to give taxpayers a 0% increase. And the simple arithmetic, if I could get this one point across tonight, the simple arithmetic is this. We're not talking about $1 million just next year. I wish it was that simple. Because by lowering the tax levy by $1 million, you have lowered it forever. The only way to recover that tax levy decrease is by piercing the levy limit. I do not want to be the business official in a community that has to pierce the levy limit. For example, Dina pointed out, rightfully so, that Central Islip is proposing a negative 0.04% tax levy. Why? Because their tax levy limit is negative 0.04%. They are taxing at the limit, I've heard from 27 school districts so far in Nassau and Suffolk counties. 21 of them are levying every penny they're allowed to by law. They're levying at the limit because they know the impact would be to reduce the base forever. And that is not what I am going to recommend as long as I'm your business official.
Well, Mr. Dragone, I definitely do respect your opinion. But this is why when I look through all the budget line items here, that's why I see things like a new chariot floor buffer for $17,000. That's why I see the big Tiger Cat commercial mower for $13,000. We are trying to spend it to reduce our funds to the legal
If I may
limits.
respectfully disagree, we're spending it because we
Need
need
it.
that equipment.
So
We
Oh.
need to cut our grass.
I understand that, but no one has mentioned multiple of these expenses have never showed up for discussion ever before until there was a surplus.
And here we go. So now I have hoisted myself on my own petard because I've given you a list of all the items that we need. And I've even identified those items that we need that we can't afford by listing them as not included in the budget. So
You have.
and
You
so,
have.
to be honest with you, it would have been a lot simpler for me to say, we need $20,000 in equipment. Let us figure out what it is. I didn't do that. I told you exactly what pieces of equipment we wanted to buy. I told you exactly what capital projects we want to do. The pavement at the two buildings that we're talking about, it's a danger. We have one trip and fall. It'll cost us more than it will to repave those parking lots.
Megan
I'm
has
sorry,
questions too.
let me just,
Yeah, but I mean, other people have questions too, so please.
but Mr. Dragone, look, what you did here in this budget is phenomenal. It really is. The way things are laid out, things that you put on here that we're thinking about getting, but can't get, like a full aeration system for the middle school. That's good. I've never seen anything like that on the budget here previously. I commend you for that. That's good. This is probably one of the easiest, best, user-friendly budget I've read here in Amityville. It is.
Thank you.
And that's a compliment to you. But the point I'm trying to make though, is that not every school district, and you know this as well, has $190,000 to repave Northeast or $172,000 to repave Northwest in a single budget. These are capital improvements. So really, it's really the idea behind this is, could any of these projects be delayed, pushed off? Because like the CBOC committee said, it does cause some confusion when we have a record-breaking surplus that Amityville has never had, and we're still trying to tax. That has to really, really be explained to community members if you want to gain that trust. And that's my final point.
Megan, do you have-
Okay. So thank you, Juan. I'm listening and I understand what you're saying and you were trying to make some cuts. And I appreciate that. And it's hard to, I'm not even sure where to start, but I think that what you're telling us, Mr. Dragon, is that we're gonna end, it's on your first slide tonight. We're gonna end with $5 million at the end of the year.
No, we're going to end with $2.8 million, which is a combination of underexpending the budget by 2.4 and getting revenue in excess of expenditures of 230. I don't remember the exact number, but it's a
Okay, so you
combination.
had said we were gonna underspend by 2.3
Right.
and we were gonna have a surplus in revenues of 2.5.
No.
So there's this
Surplus
bullet
in-
one and,
Surplus in revenue of 230,000, roughly. I don't know where you've seen the 2.5 million. That's the surplus of revenue. So that's the 2. Yes, the 2.5 is the 230,000 excess revenue plus the 2.3 million under expense.
okay, so that's still, okay, that's the first time that I thought, wait a minute, okay. Well, no, I was thinking it was 5. Okay, so I guess I'm hearing you about one-time expenses and my concern with this budget, and I appreciate the community members and hopefully they're still here, but my concern is adding so many positions. So we're adding 10 positions. And looking forward, we're going to be relying on $3 million in fund balance and reserves to balance the budget every year. And this analysis, thank you for putting it together. First budget meeting, I was like, I can't even fathom this right now. I need to go out a few years. So now we go out a few years and there's limitations, obviously, in a spreadsheet, and everything is fixed and everything is pretty. And none of our unexpected events happen. But so I'm concerned with that gap, that $3 million. So if we're adding 10 positions, which is a compounding cost year upon year upon year. And if anything goes unforeseen, we are actually eating into our reserves. So that's what makes me uncomfortable with what's been presented to us for consideration.
So the assumption that I'm making, and I think I said this last time, was that this budget will increase by about 2% per year. This year's budget is increasing by 2.14. But that at the end of every year, my expectation is that we will have underexpended the budget by about 2%. So
Right.
what we're really doing, Megan, is we're taking the money, putting it in the budget for exactly those contingencies that you're worried about. And at the end of the year, saying, thank God, we didn't have a boiler that blew up. We didn't have 7 high needs special education students move into the district. Good. We've got $2.5 million unexpended. Let's use that money to fund a part of the following year's budget. Is that dangerous to do? You bet. That
Oh.
boiler blows up, you're not going to have the $2.5 million. And then you're going to have to decide whether you put it on the tax levy, whether you petition the state for special aid, which this district got a couple of years in a row, whether you're going to try to increase local revenue somehow by, for example, charging community use of our fields. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying there are a number of districts that do that. And they generate significant revenue from that.
So, thank you for that, but, so that's my concern to my fellow board members. I'm interested in finding stable ground from in our finances. And I'm concerned with adding 10 positions. I feel that that is aggressive. I also agree with the community members that, you know, increasing that one reserve so tremendously is aggressive. So I think that what I've been trying to communicate is understanding what we actually need and to prioritize what we're adding into the budget rather than going like a foul swoop. We're going to add everything in so that if anything goes awry, a couple of years down the line, we're in the same position where we have to cut the staffing positions because those are the repeat costs, that long-term costs. I'm not saying that any of the positions are less or important, but that is the job of our administration to tell us, you know what, we really think this is super high priority. Let's do this in year one. In year two, let's do this. Let's see where we land. Let's see if we land with that 2% cushion so that we can keep and move forward like this. That's what was hoping to kind of develop out of our conversations here as a board. I spoke to this last time. I was on the fence about the summer bridge program. The CBAC also made some good points of just like the rollout of it. So I appreciate that feedback, and I like their suggestion to not think that we're going to do the full rollout this year, but to move towards a rollout in the subsequent year. And you noted that you added 2 students in the charter school enrollment. I think we've gone up more than that in subsequent years. That is enough, or did you go back to the transportation request forms to see exactly who's going where?
Yeah, we know exactly who's going this year. I
Okay.
have no idea.
Even though they were due on April 1st, for next year, the forms were due.
The requests for private school transportation are due on April 1st.
So is that
Private.
not charter school? We don't do the
Not
same
that I
thing?
know of.
Oh, I'm thinking we do the same thing for the charter school. Well, can we do that? I mean, maybe we should do that for our own budgeting purposes. Assistant super, I'm just going back to my notes and I'm trying to be quick, but I was hoping that we might be able to increase the salary for the assistant super finance. So I'm not sure.
Oh, I agree with that. Oh, so
I'm not sure if that's been accommodated because we have the slides. I don't know if anything's changed in our line by line since we last met.
I still see it at 210, but that's also a conversation that we had that Mr. Dragon, we value your position. We know that someone in that position, getting, should be making more. And by increasing what we pay someone, of course, I would like to attract, a high caliber candidate. But again, I'm sorry not to cut off.
That's okay.
Megan, but when we talk about the budget and a discussion and what we would like to see, this is kind of what I picture. Not feeling rushed or not by you, Mr. Dragon, but not rushed or berated or belittled. But actually, you know what? I'm not even saying I'm right here. I want to hear some answers. That's it.
So I'm just going to just say, first Vice President Leon, that no one's trying to rush or belittle you. It's just that we've had these meetings before, and a lot of the questions that you're posing, you brought up before, and they were answered. So when we had that April 1st meeting, that was one of the meetings where we were looking at a number of things. So no one's trying to rush you, but just, I think we're a little perplexed when some of the questions that you're asking are some of the questions that were asked before and they were answered. So I'm gonna let Megan continue because I have some questions as well, and I think other board members as well.
But final point, Madam President, every meeting that we've had, even including tonight, this budget has changed. Changes sparks new questions.
There's not much change on this one right now.
There are changes. We were presented 2 options tonight. We heard from the CBAC committee.
Yeah, I mean,
no, we presented the same budget. It is agreed. It is, instead of 2.17, it is now 2.14. Agreed. It is 0.03% less. But The only difference between option one and option two is how we raise the money.
So, yeah, I mean, when we did ask for a 1.45% option, I wasn't expecting that you were gonna use more revenue. I'm sorry, more reserve to balance the budget. I was thinking that you would cut some of the
Yeah,
anticipated
I gotta tell you,
expenditures.
we're in a box when you say that to us, because we're recommending to you on the instructional side, what we think we need in order to provide the students of Amityville with a quality education program. But these are your children. And if you say to us, we do not want instructional coaches, we do not want summer bridge program, we do not, whatever it is that the board decides, that's what we'll implement. We're not
So-
recommending less than 10 positions because we think we need 10 positions.
Okay, but my concern then as the fiscal monitor on the school board is that I'm just concerned with how tightly we're managing those 10 additional positions, and we're balancing with $3 million actually increasing across the projections to almost $3.3 million of reserves. So, and, you know, just going back to how much you can sit here and try to analyze. This is a steady state, really, analysis. We're not really even reflecting the open contract negotiations. Is it reflecting everything in our largest units negotiations? Because I recalled a few years down the line, there was something that Ms. Bawatsi was flagging as 27, 28 being a more challenging year. So, you know, I have all these things in the back of my mind, and I'm going, I'm not 100% there. If I had reassurance that a lot of the increases were one-time expenditures as opposed to the salaries, you kind of like see like, okay, we'll use reserves for one-time expenditures, not for the recurring salaries of 10 new positions. And I think that we should be trying to reduce that reliance on fund balance, not perpetuate it into 2030.
Which is why I recommended to you that you stay with a tax levy of 1.56%. That does exactly that. It reduces our reliance on reserves by $203,000 over the next 5 years. That's exactly why we made that recommendation to you.
The option one sustainability chart, you go from 2.9 million to 3.27.
Yes, but that with all of the other variables, look at what the bottom line is. Our fund balance increases by 200 and something thousand.
Okay, but it's too like steady state. We don't really know that we're making decisions on 200 and I don't know.
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying. So that's my point of view. I had 3 other things that I just want to bring up. I had mentioned having round trip monitors, and I know that the response was on all the buses. And I know that the response was that we don't have the people to fill the position. So can we still project that we're trying to fill those positions in next year's budget?
Yes, the budget accommodates having round trip monitors. We can't fill the positions,
So
which
you-
is why, in part, we have $2.3 million left at the end of the year. We have a number of positions that we have not been able to fill. And when we do fill them, sometimes they don't stay. And those salaries are not paid. And therefore, we have money left over at the end of the year.
So you did something as sophisticated as figure out what you're not going to spend in the 25-26 budget and to carry into the next year's fund balance, reserve balance?
The way I do that.
Or that's just a percentage?
No, the way I do that is every month, at the end of the month, I list how much we've spent so far. And then I try to project what we're going to spend for the remainder of the year. The way I project that is by taking a look at the history. On February 28th of 2021, we spent an additional 40% of that particular line between then and June. In a different line, we spent 38%. In a different line, we spent 42%. So I used the February 28th actual expenses and project, based on those percentages, how much we're going to spend for the rest of the year. I do the same thing on March 31st, which is why the February 28th projection of 3.2 million changed to 2.3. And I'm going to do the same thing on April 30th.
Mhm.
And
Okay, okay, understood. The yonder pouches for the fifth graders, there was a question about where, are they in the budget for next year, the new yonder pouches for whoever needs them?
I believe so. I think that we're, it's probably buried in the BOCES, Eastern Suffolk BOCES contract, but without asking Pete Iovino to identify that particular one.
Mhm. Okay. And the electronic timekeeping, have you been successful in rolling that out, or is there anything that we need still to include that?
Not since April 1st.
I guess with, okay,
That is a goal of mine. Before I leave here, there will be the use of the equipment that we've already purchased
Mhm.
to relieve the incredible amount of paper that's passing through the business office. Timesheets that are just incredible. And we can do it electronically with electronic signatures that do not require any piece of paper, that literally just sends a message to the next supervisor, ready to be approved,
Mhm.
ready to be approved,
Yes,
and it automatically goes to payroll. I'd love to accomplish that before I leave.
okay, great. Thank you.
I do, going back to the summer bridge program and the recommendation that was made by the committee. I just want to discuss that a little bit more. Is there a possibility to actually utilize that suggestion? If that's the case, will we still need all the money or just some of the money? And that's just my question I just need more clarification.
Before you answer that part, I would also like to hear what you feel about the insufficient rollout time. Like, I understood that point, just wondering what your thoughts are on it.
And also the benefits of the program in general. If you can, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to the CBAC for your feedback and concern about the integrity of the program. The pre-planning for the program has already begun. It's in motion. Of course, contingent upon the passage of the budget. Everything is anticipated based on the budget. Conversations have already taken place with leadership teams. Some of them have rolled out ideas with their shared decision-making teams. Some principals are actually meeting tomorrow with some of the students to garner more ideas from them. We have established a framework for the Summer Bridge program, and they are planning within that framework. In terms of rolling it out to summer of 2027, you're rolling it out to another budget cycle. And so it would be the same sort of window of time, anticipating that the budget would pass. I feel quite confident that we would be able to implement a program that is administered with fidelity. There is a draft flyer that has already been developed. Ms. Stevens has been working with administrative support. I think it has gone through 2 or 3 drafts at this point. And if there's anything more you would like to add to that, there is momentum and excitement among the schools being built about for the program. Today, we were talking even more about articulation and the need for articulation. The middle school principal and the high school principal are having conversations even about how to, what are some of the challenges that 8th graders will bring into the high school. So as he's crafting his high school program, he's receiving data from the middle school to craft it successfully. So those conversations are underway, plans are underway, and we don't have any major concerns that we would not be able to launch the program successfully.
And the question I also have, if we, I know we already spoke about it before, but there's already things in place, but it would not be at this level with because there's something already, isn't there something already exists in the district when someone's moving from one building to the next? That there's like
Well, schools have orientations. Orientations take place for a couple of hours a day. Students come in, they tour the building, they meet their guidance counselors, some of the teaching staff, administration, and they get an acclimation.
but there's no academic support.
Not during those orientations, no. And this is just one facet. We're not going to move academic mountains with this, but this is a start so that as we begin to build a cycle of transitional academic foundation, we will be in year 2 and then year 3 and year 4. And hopefully this is something that we will eventually be able to cycle back to a grant. But as we know, the grants are expiring. So there are no grant funds to support this, but we do not want the academic or the procedural operational supports to cease because we don't have grants.
The other question I have, going back to the ERS reserves and the $4 million in the remaining amount, you mentioned about the other areas where that remaining amount could go to. But if remaining amount is put in the different locations, it's really not going to offset the tax levy in any sort of way.
Right, so that's an excellent point. What I would recommend is that you put that additional $1.6 million, whatever it is that's above the 4, you put it into what I call fungible reserves, not restricted reserves.
Right.
So you put it into the teachers' retirement system reserve. You put it into the unemployment insurance retirement reserve, so that each year you can appropriate that money to offset the expense you're incurring in the current year's budget. You could also put it into the capital reserve. And I know that Al Galena, when he hears that I've said this, is going to be jumping up and down for joy, because, as Mr. Leone has pointed out, not every school district has hundreds of thousands of dollars to put directly to capital fund. That's a direct hit on the taxpayers the following year. Putting it into the capital reserve allows you to take that money out and do projects when we've accumulated enough money to do them. The only other way to get these capital projects done, 2 other ways. One is to do an EPC, and the second is to issue bonds. So there's 4 methods by which to get capital projects done. We're recommending you put $600-something thousand directly into the capital fund, because we see those projects as in desperate need of getting done for health and safety reasons. Then next year, if you follow our recommendation, my anticipation is you'll have $250,000 available to put into the capital reserve. And by the way, you could put another $600,000 in transfer to capital fund with 0 impact on the budget, because it is just a continuation of the $600,000 that you already have. So you could decide next year to have $700,000, and all that would do would be increase the budget by $100,000. Is that making sense to everybody?
Yeah.
I'm trying to build a base on which you could build so that you could start to hit the $100 million worth of projects that have been identified by our architects. And even assuming that they're grandiose in their expectations, I am sure any one of you could look around this district and find $50 million worth of work that needs to be done.
And so my last question is that if everything was left in ERS, but something was needed in TRS, that could be moved.
There is a process in law that allows you to move between reserves.
Right.
Some reserves require a public hearing before you could move the money.
Right.
Other reserves are at the board's discretion. Still, other reserves require a public vote, like the capital reserve.
Right.
But moving between the TRS and the ERS is really not necessary for this reason. If you wanted to impact the levy the following year, you could appropriate money from the ERS reserve, reduce taxes as a result of that. You still have to budget for the ERS bill and the TRS bill because the budget has to have the expense as well as the revenue. So it really doesn't matter which reserve it's sitting in. If you draw it out of the reserve to use it to reduce expenses in any legitimate line in your budget, you in essence have reduced the tax levy for the following year. Yes?
Thank you. Anyone else have any other questions?
I just want, can I just say one thing? You were talking about the academic positions, the staff members, the leaders, the instructional leaders and the directors and speech teacher and whatnot. The community has spoken so many times about our academics and our test grades and our everything about that. This will bring it up. This is what our administration is recommending for, higher academics and moving forward. And I'm just hoping that, these inclusive positions will be voted on and will be put forward, because this is one of the things that is so, so important, other than of course, the capital improvements. We need more support within the schools, and the teachers need the support, definitely.
I agree with you, trustee Kretz, especially because some of those positions had been implemented and then removed and proved not to be the right thing this time.
So I don't think anybody here disagrees. But I would encourage, I guess, whoever the board is come July when we're establishing our goals, and just like the CBAC is saying, to really truly identify targets and measurable goals so that we can really evaluate these positions that we're adding. It's because otherwise we're flying in the dark. And if we do have, like I was speaking to, any blip in this and we're in the position of having to cut positions, well, then we'll have some data and that we can actually base decisions on. So that's really
I agree.
imperative that we do a better job with setting goals. So one thing, I'm sorry that you reminded me when we started talking about capital. You indicated that we asked the taxpayers to move the money from capital into general. And I looked back to find the ballot language and I did not see that.
Yeah, the ballot was required in order for us to move money from the general fund to the capital fund.
So that's the other
That
way.
was
that you said it.
required. It was not required that we take unexpended funds from completed projects and transfer them back to the general fund. Because the law says when you have unexpended funds from capital projects that were funded through either a capital reserve or a transfer to the general fund, from the general fund, when those projects are complete, you could either do more projects that were authorized within the scope, or you have to return the money to the general fund. That's what we did. We returned $630,000 to the general fund, but we had a $570,000 shortfall on the bond project. The bond project was overrun
Mhm.
by 570,000. So what we asked the voters to do last year was, would you permit us to transfer $570,000 from the general fund to the capital fund in order to fund those, the missing money from the bond? The revenue side of it was the money was coming back from the capital fund to the general fund because we had completed projects that still had money left in.
Yeah, so I understand that, and I was all for that, but I don't remember that actually getting on the ballot. And then I went back to our auditor's report from November, and he said we did not do that with our capital funds.
No, what?
So you did it when you came on board, you're
No.
saying?
No, it was done by, it was a proposition on your ballot
Okay,
last
can you
year.
just show me, we don't have to continue, maybe just show me the language? 'Cause-
It was, yeah, it was actually in the
separate-
budget itself as a 500 and, as a matter of fact, you can probably see it here. Go to 99, it's probably one of the last pages of the budget. Yeah, it's part of the, exactly correct. There it is. Megan, if you look on page 53, at the line that says 9950-900-09-1111. There was last year in the budget a $570,726 transfer to the capital fund. That was paid for by a $630,000 transfer from the capital
Okay,
fund.
so I just want to, can you just show me the ballot from last year? I just want to
Ballot
see the
itself?
language though, because, thank you.
It's part of the budget. I mean, it wasn't a separate proposition. It was just part of the budget.
Oh, so the voters didn't actually know because it was just in the, but if they came to the line by line budget, they would know.
They would know, and if there wasn't, there may have been an
I
explanation.
thought when you said, we asked the voters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions on this, on the budget?
Yes, Madam President. So one of the things that I noticed, one area that really increased by $588,000, a 15.83% increase, was instruction, admins, and improvements. Now, I'm not saying it's not warranted or anything like that, and I don't think this is being addressed at Mr. Dragon, so I'm going to hand it over to our superintendent. But I see here that we're spending $40,000 on curriculum development from BOCES. There's another line item for $42,000 for curriculum development from BOCES. There's another line item for BOCES long-range planning for $18,000. And then an expense which really increased to $113,000 for testing and evaluation services. All in all, these budget line items have increased by $588,000, over $500,000. I'm trying to get a little explanation on what they're for. Why haven't we used them at this capacity the year before or the year before that? All of a sudden, it's boom. It's a big increase there.
So let me just give context before I allow the experts to answer. The 25-26 budget had for supervision, regular schools, $2,519,000. The proposed budget for 26-27 has $2,689,000. So it is a $180,000 increase in that line, supervision. I'm looking at page 18, towards the bottom of the page. And if you're looking at the $1.7 million, that's the expense so far.
So
in
mi-
25-26.
I don't think we're talking about the same spot. I'm looking at just underneath 2070, where it says just 20. Instruction admin improvement, $3.7 million the year before, 3.1 million dollars, 3.7 million.
Oh, I see. That's the
That's
total
what I'm
of
looking
all
at.
of the 20s. Right.
Right, which is an increase of $588,000 in those lines. Again, it may be warranted, it may help us. But there has been no explanation.
So, Ms. Stevens can elaborate on it a little further as well. I want to address your question, trustee Leon, but I also want to address the context of the 10 positions. So there had been a request to let's begin to bring back positions from those that had been accessed. This is an effort to do that based upon what the data is saying to us. There is a need to strengthen our Tier 1 literacy instruction, particularly across K-6 and across the district. There's a need to address the needs of our multilingual learners, as well as our students with disabilities, 2 vulnerable subgroups. Teachers need and can utilize assistance with pedagogy and strategies because the landscape of many of those students entering the district has changed drastically. There are IEP needs in terms of the psychologist, the speech teacher, the elementary special needs teacher that we have previously spoken about as well. As it pertains to BOCES, we do a lot of our curricular work with BOCES. It's very important that we are right now in the midst of aligning our curriculum across the buildings. We are looking at a redesign of our AIS systems. We're looking at a reacclimation to the approved MTSS plan. We talk about a need for measurable goals. Every school has measurable goals. Every principal has an action plan with measurable goals. We have measurable goals in place. We've talked about the high school pathways that will be mandatory in terms of making adjustments for 2027 with the portrait of a graduate. Department chairpersons need to be back in place to help ensure proper planning and alignment for what is to come. So there has been thoughtful and meaningful conversations with staff, review of data. Thus, this is why we have brought the budget that we brought to the board. As Mr. Dragon has said, if there's anything that you're not comfortable with, then let us know and collectively reach the consensus and let us know what adjustments you'd like us to make. We cannot make adjustments based upon 1 or 2 board members' preferences. And I know that we all want the same outcomes. We want our students to do well. We want our staff to be supported in implementing the initiatives that we are requiring of them through the approved curricular resources. BOCES is a support to school districts across the island. And so as we are targeting interventions, as we are upgrading Tier 1 instruction, these are the supports that we need in place in order to do that effectively. Is there more that's needed? Definitely. Do we need a full summer bridge program? Certainly. But we analyze the dollars and cents based on the needs, and this is what we have presented as a 1-year forward approach to achieving those goals. We're not leading in the dark. We know where we're going. We see it clearly. We see it plainly. And those expectations have been articulated to our instructional leaders. Ms. Stevens, did you want to elaborate any further to make sure we answer Mr. Leon's question?
I just want to make sure we're answering your question about the BOCES services.
Yes,
So,
please.
the curriculum development, the professional development that they offer, each of those lines are named by BOCES, so they may seem similar, and they are providing similar services, but for different content areas. So there's a number of ways that BOCES collaborates with districts to provide professional learning. We do have consortium seats for different content areas. So you may see that when you approve conferences for the core content areas, and for things like guidance. There are regularly scheduled meetings where leaders in those areas can meet with leaders from other districts and hear from the BOCES representatives about state initiatives, changes in curriculum, hear presentations about innovative processes in education. They can also then attend without paying additional fees, professional learning in those areas. BOCES is always listening to ways that districts are looking to collaborate together. For next year, they are offering the ability to do curriculum development and curriculum mapping with other districts. And so we would be able to pay our teachers to participate in that and then have that fully aidable, but have content experts to work with them on the development, and they would be able to work with people from other districts as well. We can also identify our own learning goals, and then have professional development come into the district. So there's a number of different ways they support us with curriculum development and professional.
Thank you. So specifically, when I look at budget line item 2060, testing and evaluation, for instance, we are proposing to spend $113,000, over $113,000 for testing and evaluation, when the year prior we spent $28,000. Usually things like this are driven by a plan, but we don't have a plan. Well, a plan in which, what are we trying to achieve by this? If we had a plan and said we're looking to achieve this, this, and this, and these are the resources that you have to put in place to achieve it, that I can understand. This needs further explanation.
So
I'm trying to follow where you are, pardon me. I'm trying to follow where you are. It sounds like you're talking about the
21.
Assessment and testing. Assessment and testing.
21.
Let's see, is this 18?
21 on page.
Yeah. So if you're talking about the testing and assessment, Ms. Stevens, you can talk about the assessment that is scored.
So the testing and evaluation line is what's rolling. That's the total, right? That's not a specific service. That's the total for everything that's in there, the strategic planning. So that's where the increase is. Right, right, Mr. Dragon?
I think, Mr. Leon, you're talking about on page 19, the line, summary line, 2060, testing and evaluation, which, thank you, I'm sorry, which is for 26-27, we're proposing $113,296, right?
That's correct.
And in the 25-26 budget, there's $28,896.
That's correct.
Okay. And the year before, in 24-25, we had spent 55,000. The year before that, 27,000. So I think
The year before that, 23,000.
Right.
So this obviously appears to me that there's some discretion in this spending. Is this aligned with some kind of goal? What does this pay for? That's my question.
So I'm seeing there's BOCES planning, long-range plan update.
So I just made a notation here, where the strategic planner was reduced for 25,000. We just have to make that adjustment from the 66 to the 25.
Oh, is it still at 60? I'm sorry. My fault. I should have reduced that 66,000 to 25.
And it's also showing the BOCES planning a long-range plan update. It wasn't budgeted for 25, 26, but we've expended over $5,000 at this point.
All right, back to Mr. DeGrove for a second. So what happened here? This is a clerical error that needs to be corrected. Is that what you're saying?
What I did was, I told you we're reducing the budget for the strategic plan from 66,000 to 25,000, but I never reduced it in the line. So I am going to go back and take that $41,000 out.
Okay.
And if you would like, I could put that in the line for the assistant superintendent for finance and operations and make that salary 250.
I agree with
I
that.
would like that.
I like that, yeah.
I agree with that.
All right, so no one's upset with me for pointing that out.
Not at all.
Thank you.
Not at all. We just,
Carol?
no change in the budget.
Yes?
Yes. Well, you know what? I hate talking about this, but every single thing that I bring up, Carol, you just want to say something negative to me.
Guys, ladies and gentlemen on the Board of Education, can we please stay focused? It is 9:50 at night. We haven't even made it through the agenda. We haven't even done anything. So I'm just asking us to, let's stay focused so we can
I'm
get
sorry.
through this.
I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Thank you.
We're working from the March 29th version
Exactly.
of the budget,
Yeah, there's
Right.
two different
not from the
versions.
April 15th version of the
Exactly.
budget, in which I didn't make a mistake.
Right.
So far, the only mistake I've made in my career was thinking that I had made a mistake.
So what I want to do at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, because we need to move this along. Everyone has an opportunity to speak. Is there anything that has been presented tonight in this particular budget proposal? And I'll start on page 4, because as stated before, in order for them to make some decisions on what they're going to do, there needs to be a consensus in terms of if there's anything we want to keep in or anything we want to take out. So I'll start on page 4. There's some recommendations that are here. Is there any on page 4 from the presentation? Is there anything on page 4 from the presentation that was done tonight? Does anyone want on the presentation tonight that we
Sure.
just had tonight?
Is there any feasibility to make, is there any?
Excuse me, can I go for it, please? On the presentation that was just done tonight by Joe DeGone, because everyone pull that one up. Let's start this direction first. So what I'm going to start this direction and we can go from there. So on page 4 in the presentation that was done tonight, is there anything that's been suggested by Mr. Dragone and the cabinet and Dr. Talbert? Does anyone want anything from page 4 removed from the budget?
Yes.
What do you want removed?
Is there any feasibility to, with our notices, to standardize it to 3,100?
Mr. Leon,
instead of
excuse me,
42?
First Vice President Leon, what I'm trying to do is first go through the presentation to see if there's anything on the presentation. Does anyone want that he did tonight? Does anyone want removed? Once we go to that, then we can go back to that over there and see.
This is both on page 4.
We're on page 4.
Yeah,
I'm here.
I'm on page 4.
No, what was done tonight, the presentation that was done tonight by Mr. Dragone, that's what I'm looking at. All right? So going back to the presentation that was done tonight by Mr. Dragone, on page 4, from that presentation, does everyone have that in front of them right now? Yes. Okay. Well, I'm trying to find out from page 4, is there anything on page 4 from the presentation tonight does anyone want removed?
Can we still consider removing refit, even though it's a fraction of a percent?
So there's one person that wants it removed. Anything else on page 4?
No.
Going to page 5. Is anything on page 5 does anyone want removed?
Strategic planning partner.
Anything else on page 5 that anyone want removed?
Sorry, Summer Bridges program.
Anyone else?
Second.
Anything else on this page? Going to page 6. Is anything on page 6 does anyone want removed? Okay, so at least there's guidance from what's been presented. So as of right now, everything that's been presented in this presentation from page 4, page 5, and page 6 remains. Now, is there anything else from the line by line, if anyone has any recommendations that they want to propose, that they want to cut
Well,
or reduce?
Well, Madam President, I don't like to use the word cut. because
Reduce, whatever language you want to use.
The word I'm trying to use is postpone to a later date and see if it works.
So go ahead and make the recommendation.
Well, if we are able to hold off on repaving one of the parking lots, because that is a very, very costly expense at $190,000 and $172.
And it will be more
If
expensive
someone
next
gets
year.
And if someone gets injured, then go ahead. Go.
I know, but like I said in our first meeting, there's always going to be more expenses than what you have money for. Always.
This
Is
is a
there
safety
something-
issue, though.
Is there, I don't know if we want to talk about health and safety but is there something that we're projecting to use the $600,000 that is moving into capital for?
Yes, there's a specific list of projects that's
Okay,
right
so
below
we're gonna-
600,000.
Okay, right. Okay, because I hear what you're saying, and I would move it out of like our purview and put it over to have like an engineer involved and get it
Oh,
done
well,
as a
we're going-
capital.
We're going to. That's
So how does
exactly
it in the operating?
because the operating budget allows us to transfer the money to the capital fund, where we then engage the services of an architect, an engineer, et cetera,
So
to
that,
design the capital project that will be expended from the capital fund.
okay, so instead of asking the community to approve a capital project, we build it into the operating and move it over because
Exactly.
we're allowed to up to $2 million or
Exactly.
something.
And the project.
So you're saying the paving, I'm talking about in particular though.
Repave the south parking lot at Northeast and the south parking lot at Northwest
Mhm.
to do ventilation and basement cleaning, exhaust fan installations
Okay,
at the
I
high
got it.
school,
Okay,
to do ventilation of the serving area in the kitchen, and to shore the basement ceiling below the dump waiter, because we think those 5 projects are
Are
health and
priorities.
safety issues that need to be addressed now.
Any other?
Well, is there anyone that would like to also postpone the meditation room for $10,000?
No, not me, no.
No.
All right, I mean, because we have that Yale program, right?
I don't think so.
We have a
It's a
lot of,
transition.
we have a lot of wellness programs. And
I think it's just so important to have it first.
yeah, I know it's important, but
Mhm.
also too, at this point, I'm really trying to focus on academics.
And
Is
I
there-
would have
Can
to
we,
say that
Wait,
the
like,
mental health would help
excuse me,
happen academic.
ladies and gentlemen from the audience, please do not shout out from the audience, please. Thank you.
In turn one, that will help
you.
academics. And for $10,000, and the students came to the podium and asked for it.
What
I
is the
mean,
name of the program that we had? Remember the mood meter?
The program has absolutely nothing to do with the
But
meditation.
it's in
room.
the same category as health and wellness.
All right, so let Dr. Talbot answer about the program that the Yale program, if it's still in existence, if it's phasing
Yale
out.
program.
So the program is titled Ruler. We're in transition. Some of the components, such as the mood regulator, are in place on the elementary level. We are partnering with Hope for Youth for SEL curricular across the grades. So we are in transition from Ruler to the curricular modules that we are partnering with Hope for Youth to implement.
So is there any other suggestions in terms of the line by line? Yeah.
It's a question that we were discussing last meeting, the geese removal service. Did we figure out the effectiveness of that? Or is that getting removed for the $12,000?
I have to say that I'm sorry, I drove by on Saturday down Bayview Ave. And I pulled in there was no one in the fields, but I have a picture of it. There must have been 2,000 geese on the baseball field, softball field, soccer field. It was horrendous. This is not working. So.
The
we
problem
can look
with,
into other things.
the problem with the solution that we have is that when Babylon hires the dogs to chase the geese, they come to Amityville. Then we hire the
That's
dogs
the
to
only-
chase the geese and they go to Babylon. It's not, this has been the bane of every athletic director and facilities director existence on Long Island. I've heard that they've tried things like putting Kool-Aid on the field, that the geese get sick from the Kool-Aid. But that's just
like
an old wives, excuse me,
An animal
old
rights issue.
husband's tale. I don't want to be sexist.
All right, and
So does that mean that it
Oh,
has
yeah.
been proven to be useless and we're gonna remove it?
No, it means that we're trying, we just don't, and you know what? Maybe we could evaluate to see if there are other programs that we could use, leave the $12,000 in the budget and let us explore other options. All right, and just call it geese removal and forget about whether it's dogs or Kool-Aid or whatever. We'll try to figure out some way to keep the geese off.
Okay. I'm okay
So
with
I-
that, just as long as we're revisiting and not just utilizing the same dog service. And another thing that we spoke about last meeting was the 40-foot storage container at Northeast. Do we know what that is gonna possibly be used for? Oh, we're putting the geese
Someone
there?
said the geese.
my dear audience, please refrain from calling out.
That
or
one
saying
was
anything.
funny, though.
Thank you, but I still regardless, please refrain. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We need it.
Okay, so now the actual answer for that?
I don't know. I was just looking to see if Mr. Farkas was still in the room because I believe that was his request for sports equipment to be stored, but I'm not sure.
Well, why would we
We-
be storing sports equipment in Northeast?
I don't know the answer to that. Let me find out.
Does Ms. Stevens know the answer to that?
If it is for the athletic equipment, sometimes they use the gyms in different buildings for practice.
Yes,
like
yes.
cheer.
Okay, that makes sense. I know the cheerleaders go to different buildings all the time. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens.
Any other questions about the line by line? Are you still going, Chris?
That's all I had.
So I just quickly, Lisa, and
Sure.
for the board, we just heard from the CBAC tonight, fresh on our minds. We also have budget adoption on the agenda, so I guess I would request that the board consider tabling the budget adoption. And since we're gonna be here on Tuesday anyway, should we have the option that the CBAC has worked on and volunteered their time in front of us? Just update your spreadsheet, I guess, for us, Mr. Dragon, and that way we can just kind of sit with it. It's brand new, their recommendation, and then, really
I'm
just
sorry, the recommendation about the RA.
the reserves, yeah.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
that is not carved in stone at all. What I just want to point out to you is you have a couple of choices with what to do with that.
Mhm.
You certainly can, if you wish, apply that as fund balance to reduce the tax levy.
Mhm.
You can do that. I don't recommend it.
You've said that a few times, but we had our community budget, or our community members work together, and I'm just asking that if we're gonna be here on Tuesday, that we would have the numbers in front of us as an option on the table. That's,
Sure. And in
um,
fact, it really is, quite frankly, it really is very simple. just take $1 million off your fund balance,
Right.
and not only this year, but in the tax levy for every year thereafter. No matter what the levy limit is, you're reducing the base by that $1 million. And you will eventually have only $10 million in fund balance because you're going to lose $1 million for 5 years. It's as simple as that, Megan. I don't know how else to explain it to you.
Okay, I'm just saying, because we have the CBAC and we just got their recommendations today, that we would just
And I
consider their recommendations and as a
greatly
board
respect
and.
their recommendation, but I'm telling you what the impact would be.
Right.
So I think,
Okay.
Megan, my plan was not to.
Okay, I
do-
didn't know if we had a plan. that
No,
we
no,
weren't-
I was, because there was feedback, there was a lot of feedback that was going tonight, and I know they have to go back and possibly clean up anything. And that's why I was looking for feedback from everyone, so therefore, on the 21st, we have to adopt the budget. So I'm just looking, I'm trying to get consensus on different things, so they know what to do for the 21st when they come back to us. So going back to the recommendations that were made by the committee. So I just want to go back to page 1 of that in terms of the summer bridge program. So as of right now, we're going to keep that in the budget as is. So we're not going to move, it's going to, if the budget passes, then it will go forward. Then number 2 about the 4 million. So if the board wants to see, what would it look like if we take like $1 million of it to offset the tax levy? And we already know how it's going to reduce the numbers, just kind of see what that looks like. So does everyone want to do that? So therefore people can see what that looks like for next week's meeting on the 21st. Is there consensus
Yeah.
to? Yeah, okay. So that way everyone will see what that looks like. And then I think, you've already mentioned where we can do that, or we can move it over to other areas. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with their recommendation that it be reduced to, some one number lower than 5 million. That may seem excessive. You're right. But I would just be careful about what we do with it.
right.
If we return it to taxpayers, we're reducing our levy by $1 million every year. If we put it into a capital reserve, we cannot use it to reduce our levy in future years. It can only be used for capital projects.
Right.
If we put it into another reserve, like EBLR, unemployment, TRS pension reserve, we could use it as we wish each year to reduce the levy the following year. Like we're projecting this year, we would use $300,000 from reserves in addition to the $2.3 million unexpended, in addition to the $230,000 in excess revenue, that would make up our applied fund balance.
Right. So if $1 million is moved over, then that leaves us with 4.9 million
In the ERS
in the ERS
reserves.
So
Yes.
if you can do just kind of,
Absolutely.
then that way the board can be able to see what that looks like
Right.
at next week's meeting, and then that way the board can make a decision in terms of what direction,
And
to
I
go.
could, if I could just say, Lisa, that the board will make a decision in June. We will present recommendations to the board for the amount we should retain in reserves in an amount not to exceed, and we'll give you a suggested number. And then as soon as we close the books in August, when we've finished looking at all of our expenditures and revenue, et cetera, we will then present to you the resolution that you need to adopt in order to move up to that amount of money into each of the reserves.
Okay. Right. Any other recommended changes that we can provide to them for for the proposed budget? Right. So I'm gonna move along. I'm just gonna make a recommendation to the board before we do the community input. Can I have a motion to move agenda item 3B2A before the community input?
Motion to approve.
Second.
So Sorry. Juan Leon is first. Leslie Kretz is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's 6-0. All right. Yes, can I have a motion for agenda item 3B2A?
Motion.
Second.
Chris Nieren is first. Leslie Kretz is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Could you kindly stand up for us, Veronica?
We'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Ms. Veronica Henriquez, who will begin as Assistant Principal at the Amityville Memorial High School effective July 1st. Let's welcome her to the Amityville community.
Like I missed it.
And Ms. Henriquez, did you have someone to accompany you to tonight's meeting? We apologize, he missed the moment, right? As soon as you leave the room.
I mean, we can do it again.
Congratulations. Right. Now I'm going to go back to community input regarding board agenda items only.
Diane Eglinger, how are you? I'm going to advocate for community and the taxpayer. So when I was doing my math and I presented some things to our meeting the other night, I was figuring the difference between a 1.56. I know you love that number, 1.56, but the difference between a 1.56 tax levy and a 1.45 is approximately $70,000. Which to me in a budget of 123 million is not that much. So in my eyes, I think that little gift to the community would make a big impact. And $70,000, I think you probably could find in that budget somewhere to get rid of or to pull it more from the fund balance. So that's number one. Number two is the reserve. Oh, wait, I'm going to go back. Was that mistake that you said about the purchasing agent, was it corrected in the
Yes.
it was corrected. So we don't have that 40,000,
Correct.
but we have the 12,000 if you don't do the geese.
No, we have 12,000 to spend on getting rid of geese, whether or not we use dogs to do it
Okay.
or Kool-Aid.
All right, so $70,000 could be found somewhere. I really believe that's true. My next question is the ERS reserve. The money that was obtained to go from 2.5 to 5.9 is what money?
That's money that is inappropriately held in the unassigned fund balance, which caused that line to be 7.9% of the subsequent year's budget, when in fact, real property tax law limits us to 4%.
Right, I understand that. But that line was increased from that $10.6 million, correct?
From the $10.6 million that was unexpended and the $2 million deficit that we had in revenues last year, which is why I keep referring to it not as a $10 million deficit, but it's really only 8.
Okay, I hear you. Okay. So by taking $1 million from that and using it towards the budget would bring down the tax levy to approximately what? Can you must be able to do that in your
Yeah,
head.
about 0.
About 0. So I'm speaking for the taxpayer. I understand what Mr. Dragon is saying, that I don't really understand what he's saying, because he says it's going to affect the next 5 years, which okay, he knows that business, but in my eyes, it's $8 million that we have floating out there. So I strongly suggest to use that $1 million and bring that tax levy down. I think it would make a big impression in the community because right now they're not happy.
Thank you.
Hi, Margaret Shuff, Amityville. On the presentation for the average home, and you used the list of 10 or so addresses of the luminaries, which was a weird term that you used, but I find it weird that you would point that out and make that known because it really should have been more or less vague and anonymous. I thought it was odd that you purposely pointed that out, but there's nothing here in East Massapequa or town of Oyster Bay.
Yeah.
And what would that tax levy be?
The difference is that on the Nassau County side, the calculation is not as straightforward as it is in the Suffolk County side. In the Nassau County side, not only do you have to consider what the levy increase would be, but you also have to consider what the adjusted base proportions are that determine how much of that levy gets applied to class one and you're a Nassau County resident, so you know what I'm talking about, right?
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm asking for everyone else who doesn't ask the question,
Oh, okay.
but I still want to ask the question. So,
Gotcha.
so by
So
the
that's
next,
why I didn't choose a house in Nassau County. I went to the town of Babylon.
I understand there, okay, but what for town of Oyster Bay, what would that, you have to figure it out somehow.
Yes, it would be exactly the same, assuming that the adjusted base proportions do not change, number one. And number two, the balance between Suffolk County and Nassau County doesn't change either. Because every year a decision is made as to how much of the levy gets applied in Suffolk County and how much gets applied in Nassau. And then in Nassau, they go through this crazy thing with the four classes of
Probably ask the
property.
question every year. The other question is, the $25,000 strategic plan. I'm really having a hard time wrapping my head around that because as superintendent, the CEO of the company and everything else, it's like, what could you possibly have to reach out to somebody else like this? To me, it's part and parcel of your goal and job objective to have all the strategic planning. I don't understand this consultant stuff, and great, you reduced it, but it's your job to be doing this. And I just don't understand why constantly, and I've brought this up before on all these consultants, that why we're paying out of pocket for these consultants when it's in fact your job. So $25,000 is $25,000 too much, whether you reduced it or not. It's too much. It's part of your makeup of your job that you should be performing before us. And I'm really disgusted with that whole proposition. And regarding the voting machines, is this a New York State mandate that every school district, is it New York State or Suffolk County? What's the deal with the voting machines?
Suffolk County Board of Elections decided to retire their old voting machines.
Right,
And they've purchased brand new voting machines,
right,
but they have refused
to lease them out.
to lease them to school districts.
But,
Or-
okay,
Or municipality, villages, et cetera. Well,
so
no, they may
if,
be using them in the villages.
No.
so my
No?
question to you is, so that means the village has to buy new voting machines as well?
Anne Marie, do you remember, did the village use the new
Yes.
machines or were they using the old?
They used ours. They used ours. Agreement that took place.
But I think wasn't there a new voting machine for this year? Didn't we just use the new voting machines in, the last election or something?
The last.
Okay, so what does the village of Amityville do when they need to vote?
They borrow on, yeah.
So we suffer the bill and they
No,
get
it
to
was,
borrow it from us?
there was a whole agreement that occurred.
Say it
There
again?
was- There was a whole agreement that occurred for them to use there was a whole agreement that occurred for the use of the voting machines that we got. So it was done legally, correct?
Okay, so now.
was a shared agreement.
Going forward.
For this year?
For
you
this
said.
year.
But, so
I don't know what's gonna happen next year with the Village of Amityville. I don't know.
Right, but if they're gonna if they're gonna borrow the machines or lease the machines, or it should be a shared expense. Am I
don't-
crazy?
I don't know what we're gonna do in terms of moving
But
forward.
you should go into the proposition going, yeah, we have to buy this, but guess what? You're gonna borrow them, you're gonna share some of the expense.
If,
Am I crazy?
Mrs. Shuff,
I'm
if
asking a
Mrs.
question.
Shuff, this year,
Ms.
it was
Johnson.
just, it was a shared expense. Next year, I'm not too sure what the Village of Amityville is gonna do. I'm not too sure if they're gonna purchase their own machines or if we're gonna do another shared agreement. I don't know, but what we did for this year was a shared agreement to use our machines.
For $14,000.
I don't know what I don't remember what the cost was off the top of my head.
Was it,
The dollar, it's a lease.
It was a lease, so it was agreed.
so what is the $14,000 on the budget line then?
It's 46,000.
It's to
Oh, 40
purchase,
I'm sorry, okay.
it's to
even-
purchase our
even worse.
machine.
Okay, that didn't answer my question at all. And also when it costs, when it's coming to all this budget information and everything else, line by line, et cetera, I don't see the transportation official here or the facilities manager here. How come they're not here? They
were
could
here
be
the last time.
very
They were here.
integral part. I didn't see them here,
They were here the last time when we did the other line by line.
but if it's going to be voted on and there was going to be questions, there was going to be changes, there was mistakes made, and so on and so forth, they still should be here to answer any questions. And my last question is the student board members, the ex officios. I saw them once since that whole thing became a thing.
No, they've been here more often.
I mean, I don't go to every meeting, but I literally only saw
They've been here.
one
I think-
time.
I think
I was
they've
just
missed-
wondering if it was still a thing.
It is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I have your paper?
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Deborah, and I'm a proud alumni and taxpayer in this district. I just want to say that I support the tax levy because I truly believe investing in our schools means investing in our students' future. If we want stronger academics, better programs, and more opportunities for our students, then we have to be willing to fund that growth. I understand that taxes are a concern for families, but as a taxpayer myself, I believe this investment is worth making. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other agenda questions or comments?
Good evening, Wendy Castro. First, I want to thank the Budget Committee. I know they spend a lot of time doing that. And their recommendations, I thought it was very thoughtful. I too want to advocate for a 0% tax levy and don't buy into the fear mongering. I am concerned about all the positions. I think some of them are good. But I don't want to get into a situation where you have to access and in 2 or 3 years, which I think that you're going to be looking down the pipe at that. And we're going to get ourselves in a position that we don't want to be in. I happen to live near the high school and see the geese all day long. The geese are there all day long. Doesn't matter what you do, any time of day, geese are going to be there. I would, as a animal activist, I would strongly recommend that you do not put Kool-Aid down to get the geese sick. Really poor look for a school district. Measurable goals were mentioned that I think Mr. Leon was asking for some things that what is driving this cost. I don't recall seeing any measurable goals. Let me just see. I agree that all the directors should be here at actually every single meeting, but especially every budget meeting. What happened to the $1.6 million for the 6 engineers? Did anybody look at reducing that? I see that there's some key resignations, including a technology teacher and assistant PPS person. That's special ed. That should concern people. Special ed is really important. I don't think anybody should be rushed. You talk about this until you're done talking about it. It's a $120 million budget. Nobody should be rushed. Nobody should be ridiculed or, if you have to ask the question twice, you ask the question twice for you to understand it's $120 million. You're stewards of the taxpayers' money, and it's that important. Lastly, I found it incredible that someone of authority would keep saying, if you don't fix this parking lot, someone will fall. You're setting the district up for a lawsuit because anybody could say at a public board meeting, your official said this. I'm not sure why nobody stopped that or corrected that. That is a huge liability on the district. Again, I ask you to go for a 0% tax levy increase. Thank you.
Thank you.
Increase, yes, say 0%. I just want to make that clear, 0%.
Any other community input on agenda items? So moving forward, can I have a motion for agenda item 2C1, please?
Motion.
Second.
Carol Seehoff is first, Chris Neer is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 6-0. For agenda item 2C2, we have to appoint a chairperson. Mr. Leon, do you want to be the chairperson for the election?
I do not.
Mr. Neer, do you want to be the chairperson for the election from the board?
Could you explain again what the duties are of the chairperson?
Really nothing much except to go ahead.
I think I went in
You,
the.
you announce the polls being open,
Open.
and
Yeah.
they open at 7 a.m.
We got a bottle of champagne to
Christen the
break
door,
open?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah.
All right.
I'll do that.
All right, so
Thank you for taking that burden off.
all right, so can I have a motion for agenda item 2C2, which is an appointment of a chairperson, which will be Chris Neeren?
I'll second that.
Leslie Kretz, Juan Leon, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 2C4, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Juan Leon is first, Chris Neeren is second. Any questions on this item?
No, Madam President, but I just want to make sure my understanding is correct. And my understanding is that charter schools, since they have no school board of their own or local residents making those decisions, that the local district and voters in that district should make some kind of vote or be part of the decision-making if a charter school were to come into whatever district it may be and use funds that would otherwise go to public schools. That's my understanding.
Well, yeah, so currently the charter schools are approved either by SUNY or the Board of Regents. And the resolution calls for NISBA to advocate for changes to that law so the voters of the district have input into those decisions.
So we're essentially lobbying to the state so that if a charter school is being considered for a community, the community has the opportunity to vote.
Yeah, you're asking NISBA to lobby
it's-
on your behalf.
We're lobbying, raising awareness, but there's already a lot of steps for a charter school to come into fruition. And there's already like a limitation on how many charter schools in a region. No?
So can I just,
Yeah,
at the
go ahead.
bottom of the resolution, it says resolve that the Amityville Union Free School District in collaboration with NISBA advocates for legislation requiring all charter applications to be approved by the local voters of impacted communities prior to submission to relevant state chartering entities. So
Right, so we're just lobbying to
we
the
just,
state.
yeah, exactly, yeah, that's all we're doing. Just legislative, yeah.
And the reason why I do appreciate and like this is that because if there is an exorbitant amount of students that are accepted and going into a charter school, the public school district very well is going to have to make up that difference to provide, in some cases, basic services. And guess what? That affects your tax levy. That's an increase to meet basic services. So a community member should be able to have an input on that, just like they do in a regular budget and vote. That's why I do
Well,
appreciate
it's just
this.
to build it, though. You know? It's lobbying that the community would weigh in on if it could be built in their community.
reopen up.
Yeah, so I would like the state to let us vote if on industrial developments and multi-building developments too. So,
And
I mean, if we're.
Juan, I think I understand what you're getting at, and I agree with that, but I just don't think that's part of this.
Okay, so,
This is
so
just
that's why.
activism, I guess.
It's just
Yeah.
advocating, that's it.
Yeah.
Does it mean to have a school physically built or operate in the district?
Either,
Those are
either,
two different.
either one, whether it comes into
Oh, I
that
guess-
community.
I guess if there's an existing building, it's to
Right.
operate,
Exactly.
to come into.
Right. Okay. That's all it is. Any other discussion on this item? All those in
Yes.
favor?
I just wanted to put on a point of clarity. Charter schools are permitted to open without the approval of voters in the community in which they serve. And so this
This legislation.
resolution we're advocating for that change, advocating for legislation.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I do agenda items 3B, 2B, 3B, 2I altogether? Does anyone need anything done separately? 3B, 2B to 2I. Can I do that altogether, please?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion for agenda item 3B, 2B to 2I.
Motion to approve.
Juan Leon is first. Leslie Crest is second. Any discussion on these items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3B, 3A, please? 3B, 3A.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Juan Leon, Chris Nieren, any questions on these items?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion, can I do agenda items 3B, 4A through 4E altogether?
Motion to approve.
Juan Leon is first.
Second.
Leslie Kretz is second. Any discussion on any of these items?
I just, this is a new offering, or I just wanted to clarify what this is?
It is a new op.
Okay,
Yes,
what it, can you tell us what it is?
sure. I can speak to, some of it is for the, Model UN, which we're starting at the high school as part of the Leaders of Tomorrow program. I'm sorry, the first three, I would have to
Okay.
get for you what
Oh,
they
thank
are.
you. Okay, that sounds good.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye. Are you okay with it?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Can I do agenda item 5AE, 6A, and 7A altogether? Does anyone need it done separately?
Motion-
together.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Juan Leon is first. Chris Nieren is second. Any discussion on these items? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion for agenda items 10A and B, please?
Motion.
Second.
Chris Nieren is first. Carol Sehoff is second. Any discussion on these items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I do agenda items 8A through 8F altogether? Leslie Kretz is first.
Second.
Chris Nieren is second. Any discussion on these items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I do agenda items 11A and 12A together?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Juan Lino is first, Chris Nieren is second. Any discussion on these items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I do agenda item 3? Huh? Yes, oh, yes. Can I have a motion, hold on, to amend the agenda? I have to get my little piece of paper. To, under use of facilities. Okay. To add agenda item 3C1A for use of facilities by Long Island Basketball Foundation. They submitted, it's going to be a basketball clinic. Looking to do it on April 25th at the high school. And they have all the insurances and everything has been reviewed. So can I have a motion to amend the agenda to add this item?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Carol Seoffis first, Chris Nero in a second. Any other discussion on this item, adding to the agenda? Any other discussion on, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0 to add to agenda. Now, can I do agenda items 3C1, 1A, all the way down to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 altogether? Does anyone want anything done separately?
So moved.
No, I'm asking, does anyone want?
I have one question on one item, but you could do it together. It's fine.
So we,
So you,
we motioned to add that to the agenda. Now I want to do it all collectively together. Okay. Does anyone need anything done separately?
No.
All right, can I have a motion for agenda item 3C1, 3C1A, 3C2, 3, 4, 5, and 6?
Moved.
Second.
Carol Seehoff is first. Chris Neron is second. Any discussion on any of these items?
Yes, Madam President. One point of discussion to Superintendent Dr. Talbert. C3 budget transfers. Can you or Mr. Dragone talk about the nature of this budget transfer?
So, Mr. Dragon, this is the budget transfers from custodial salaries at the 5 schools to cover the custodial overtime at the 5 schools.
Correct. And the total amount that we're moving out and the total amount we're moving in is $123,000. It, unfortunately, the way we format this, it almost looks like we're trying to move $6,000 into $4,000. Forgive me. That's, we're moving the total amount of $123,000 out of the budget codes on the right and into the budget codes on the left. And this is to address the fact that we did not have staff regularly assigned at these buildings. We had more money in the salary lines than we could use because there were not people appointed. So we had to cover it with overtime and stuff.
Thank you.
Can I, just a question on, the bathroom change order? Is there, I'm happy to see it, great news. Is there any, change to our architect's fee? Or our construction manager, or because it's not changing when the work is happening, so we already have the construction manager covered, so is that why it's not in here?
No, we have a contract with our architect and our CM. I don't know if the CM is involved in this, but if the architect is involved in this, the architect has a contract with us. He gets a percentage of total construction costs. So therefore, the addition of $93,600 and something dollars, he will get a fee percentage of that based on his contract.
Okay, but as far as you know, we don't have to change his upper limit. Or
No,
anything like, yeah,
the
okay.
architect, no, the architect's contract doesn't specify an upper limit. It specifies a percentage amount that we will pay him,
I understand, okay,
right?
I understand,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions on any of these items?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3D1 and 3D3?
What's the,
3D1 and 3D3.
is this homecoming?
Excuse
We
me?
have 3D3?
Oh, no, 3D3, just 3D1, sorry. Have a motion for agenda item 3D1, sorry about that.
Motion to approve. Second.
Juan Leon is first, Chris Neary is second. Any discussion about 3D1? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Right. Sorry about that. Can I have a motion for agenda items 3E1A and B and 3F?
Motion.
Second.
Chris Neary is first, Carol Seoff second. Any discussion on these items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Any old or new business on behalf of the Board of Education?
So I don't have like an extensive list, but I do still want to see H2M come in at some point. And Lisa, I don't know when you'll do, I know right now we're in the height of budget season, but I guess when you're planning out the May meetings or the June meetings, to have H2M come in and talk about the building condition survey and all the results. And also would love to see from our curriculum plans and the curriculum presentation. So, and I guess in the realm of talking about charter schools, if I think we brought this up last year too, but if there was a way to do exit surveys for families that are opting to leave, like it might be a good way to get some feedback and, I don't know, try to utilize it in the plans going forward.
I think, was that ever implemented? Do we, I know this was a discussion that occurred.
We did, but I don't know if it was kind of too late when we
Yeah,
started talking about it.
yeah.
I can't remember.
There was some preliminary work done towards that end, and some of those actually took place. There's been a transition with support personnel in the PPS office, and that particular position is being completed by others at this time, so it's not currently being done.
Thank you.
Just for new business, is information from the Rotary Club, and I can pass it around about a gala that they're having. So if I can share with everyone. I think it was also provided to us from Anne Marie. Yes, so just please take a look at that if you're interested in attending.
I did want to ask about the SCOPE program, if that's going underway soon.
So I'm happy to report I did receive the agreement with them. I did send it to Gercio earlier this week, and we are hoping we might be able to get it on Tuesdays.
Thank you. Oh, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other new or old business by anyone? So at this point in time, community input on non-agenda items.
Good evening, Nakia Wolf, President, Amityville Teachers Association. Just wanted to take this time to say thank you to Central Office and the School Board for the adoption of the resolution relative to charter schools. The Long Island President's Council and several other school districts on Long Island have signed on to that. Again, not to be misconstrued, it has nothing to do with attacking choice. It has more to do with accountability, and it has more to do with community voice. When a charter school comes into a district, there is no accountability for those dollars. As I've said before, if a student goes there and is sent back, there's no accountability for those monies. So we pay for a student to go there, student comes back, that money is gone, and we still have to allocate resources to now educate that student whose money we've already sent to a charter school. It's very important for the community to, as they vote on general budgets and vote in elections, that they also vote on how it is that those charter schools are going to be funded and where those monies are going to come from. So thank you for joining that coalition that gives a voice to the community and making that determination and making sure that the monies that are allocated to public schools are for public schools. And if there needs to be an expansion to that, that will not be without community voice and input.
Thank you. Any other community input on non-agenda items?
Hi, good evening again. At a most recent board meeting, I asked about policy 90/20/40R. Just wanted to check the status, if the policy committee met.
The policy committee has not met in like 2 months, I think at least, because of different, I think it was weather was basically where we were, snow reasons. So we're looking to convene again one day this month. Yep.
Okay, will that meeting be placed on the website?
Yes,
Date?
yeah.
Okay, thank you. And will you address 90/20/40R?
I think it was on it's on the agenda. It was on the agenda for the last time we were going to meet, and once again, school was closed because of snow, so we weren't able to meet.
All right, thank you.
Any other input on non-agenda items? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn at 10:42?
Motion.
Second.
Chris Naren is first, Carol Seehoff is second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 6-0.